I'm going to do something with a lens I haven't normally worked with before, and that's 150mm. A couple of reasons for that. The main one being that I don't really have a good 150mm lens. I do have a 150mm lens. It's a lens that what's the best way of putting it? Politely, it's got some issues. It's got scratches on the rear element. I bought it for very cheap because I bought it for the shutter, basically. It's an interesting focal length because you probably say, oh, 150mm, that's equivalent to a 50mm on 35mm. Well, it's not. 150mm is almost exactly to within a couple of millimeters the diagonal of the exposed area of the 4x5 format. Do you notice I use my term there? So if you get a 4x5 sheet of film and you measure the diagonal of the whole sheet, it's about 158, 160mm. If you actually work out where the picture appears, it comes down to about 152, 153mm. So a 150mm lens is almost exactly the diagonal. The diagonal of a 35mm frame is 43. So it's the equivalent of a 43mm lens, meaning it's a little bit wide. Fuji made another 150mm lens called which is a Tessar design, which is a budget lens. So I ended up buying one of those as well. And part of what I'm going to do today is compare the two lenses. Now the light isn't particularly exciting here today. We're getting into winter, and the lighting that I wanted isn't there anymore because the sun needs to be quite high in the sky. So there we go. The light's actually quite nice there from the reflection of the water behind. Of course, apart from that, it's a not terribly interesting photo. So I've got a little bit of shine plug in there to get all of the boats in focus. Okay, so the shine plug is, I've got the foreground in focus there, see that? There's the pink boat in focus. And the orange boat's in focus there as well. My infinity's pretty good too, see that? Right up there is probably going to be a bit of a problem, but that's okay, I'll just stop down for that. Let's have a look at the amount of tilt. A very, very small amount of tilt, just a few degrees. You do not need a large amount of tilt. The big difference between the two lenses is that the 150mm gives me 46mm of rise and fall, which is huge. Okay, the 150mm covers 5x7 with some ease. The other 150mm lens doesn't. It's a cheaper lens, it's got a smaller image circle. It only allows me 25mm of movement, but it won't cover 5x7. Okay, you know the drill here. Here we are here. Okay, you can see there that the shadow area that I'm interested in is the darkest part of the rocks there, and that's 6. So check your film speed, particularly if you use different film, check your film speed. EV6 goes to here. The meter always meters at zone 5. I'm going to put that on zone 3. So I end up with 4 seconds f32. 4 seconds f32, 2 seconds f22, 1 second f16. Fomapan 100 has some significant reciprocity. So 4 seconds could go to 21 seconds. 2 seconds will go to 7 seconds. So 4 seconds at f32 corrects to 21 seconds. So let's make this work. 21 seconds. Okay, let me mark which lens I'm using, otherwise it's not going to be a very useful scientific thing. So that's F32 21 sec. Okay, everything bolted down, fabulous. Okay, get my timer out. Okay, ready spaghetti, go. 20, 21. This time I'll take the dark slide out. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's put the other lens on. Now, this lens is a lens design called a Plasmat, which is one of the most successful large format lens designs. Most large format lenses are these. The Plasmat's made out of 6 elements, which depending on the exact design could be, some of them might be cemented together, but it's 6 elements. This lens is a design called a Tessar, and the advantage of a Tessar is it's only made up of 4 pieces of glass. 2 of them are cemented together, so you've only got 3 pieces of glass that you need to mount into the lens. So that front cell has 2 pieces of glass with air spaced. The rear cell has 1 piece of glass with the aperture in between. Notice that it's really quite small. The rear element is smaller than the back of the shutter. It's only f6.3, but that's only a third, half a stop slower than f5.6 anyway. Tessar lenses have been around since the early 1900s, and they were hugely successful. They were the first lens that made really sharp images, were really fast, and was also very economical to make with just four pieces of glass. They were the bee's knees at one time, but the Plasmat replaced them. They're now a budget lens. So if you look through a lot of lens makers' catalogues, they had a Tessar series which are cheaper, and then they had their Plasmats. Tessars are often made in longer focal lengths rather than shorter focal lengths, like 210, 300, 400 and 600 even. Okay, let me focus this. Open the lens up. Yep. As far as this being f6.3 versus 5.6, I won't notice that on the ground glass. Tessars are always sharp in the centre, at the centre of the image. Their sharpness extends out to the corners when you stop down. So if you were going to shoot that wide open, it'd be pretty nicely sharp in the centre, and then it would fade out a little bit to the corners. Stop down at f16, f22, it's going to be sharp all over. There we go. So, if you were buying a 150mm lens, the price nowadays, the price difference between this 150, the Tessar, and the Plasmat isn't very significant. I'd just buy the Plasmat. And then you've got a sharper lens with more movement as well. Here we go. So there's my composition there. It should be exactly the same. Let me focus that. I'm not even going to really adjust the tilt and shift, because it should be exactly the same. There is a difference between the two lenses, and that this lens is mounted in a lens board with a 5mm drop, which means I've got to be a little bit careful. I've just given it 5mm of rise on the lens board to compensate for that, so that they should look exactly the same. I mean, the two lenses are different lens designs, so there'll probably be a couple of millimeters difference in focal length. You can get that just in batch variation anyway. So, okay, my sun's come up a bit. F32. 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 Tessar. Not going to forget the film holder this time. Okay, let's do this. 0, 1, 2, 18, 19, 20, 21. Fabulous. Okay. I don't normally do voiceover with the images here, but this needed a little bit of explanation. Let's take a look at the images from the 150mm lenses. Both are overexposed by at least a stop. You can see in the area there where I'm metered, there is more than sufficient density, so I could have easily placed the shadows on zone 2 rather than zone 3. The other potential issue is that my Fomapan reciprocity correction table is overcorrecting, so I'll need to look at that. The negatives are still usable, but you can see there is significant halation from the bright sky areas bleeding out into the clear rebate. Both of the images seem to have blotchy patches of whiteness, which the last Fomapan I did in a similar backlit scene also showed. Somebody in comments, I hope, will suggest that I should be cutting back my development. That would probably solve both the issues of overexposure and taming that contrast a bit. Here I'm showing the image that I made with a 90mm. I didn't show me making this picture at the time because this video is getting a little bit long. Note that it also suffers the overexposure and the halation of the 150mm. This 90mm is the later multi-coated 90mm lens. This indicates that the single coating on those older Fujinon lenses is very, very good coating, because the contrast is very, very similar with both of these lenses. This lens is also showing that blotchiness in the sky areas as well. What's surprised me with these two negatives is that the Tessar image has significantly more contrast. It is actually very nice. I would now change my recommendation to say, yep, get the Tessar if you don't need the movement. The 150 Tessar is actually quite nice.